I'm Frank Vaughn. It's May 25th, 2025, and once again, I have time constraints on this day as I try to figure out what the rest of summer looks like for this project as well as our lives. A couple things I wanted to respond to that came out of yesterday's video. Both of them are kind of on the negative side, but it doesn't really matter. I think I should provide that insight. A person asked, what lodge am I affiliated with? The implication is that I am a Freemason. I am not. I will tell you that I once applied to become a Freemason out of curiosity, and because many of the people I knew back east were Freemasons, and they seemed like good, upstanding people. There were volunteer firefighters there, local heroes, businessmen, people I admired. They could speak without swearing. They were articulate. And there's so much negativity around Freemasonry, I thought, let's check this out. So I applied. I got accepted. And part of the process of joining is you have it's basically called the 3 wise men. They come and visit you at your house, and they ask you a bunch of questions to see if you're fit to be a Freemason. It's kind of a formality. And 2 of them were locals. One guy was a 32nd degree Mason. And I actually have this inkling feeling he was there, or he chose to come as a result of my work. Now, this is just a hunch, but he seemed to indicate that there was an individual. You can figure this out on your own. There was an individual who had just run in a contest, because this was back, when was this? 2019, I believe. My wife was either pregnant or my son was newly minted. Something along those lines. I can't remember which. I believe it was the fall. I think it was the fall. So yeah, he was probably a few months old at that point. But he talked about a contest. The implication was a political contest, that there was a race, and this person lost fair and square. It's a term that actually comes largely from Freemasonry, everything on the square. And because he lost and contested it and behaved so immorally, he would never become a 32nd degree Freemason, let alone a 33rd. And I thought the story was weird. And at any rate, I still have the acceptance letter somewhere, but I let it fade, decided not to join. COVID came along and shut it all down anyway. But that's the limit of my curiosity. I own several books on Freemasonry. I do believe that there have been many evil individuals affiliated with Freemasonry over the years. But there's also been many good individuals affiliated with Freemasonry over the years. It's a dying organization. That's another aspect of Freemasonry that drew me to it, is there's all this talk about how Freemasonry is taking over the world. And Freemasonry as an organization, it couldn't be further from the truth. Lodges are closing everywhere. In Saskatchewan, I've looked into this, the history of lodges here is one of closure. There's only one left near me. And you have to go to a major city to find the other ones. Back east, when I was there, one of the masters of the lodge that I knew complained frequently about the fact that the members were walking corpses. They were so old they couldn't do the rituals anymore. They couldn't actually keep the order together, and they couldn't get new members. They were closing lodges there too. So it's a dying organization. So anyway, out of curiosity, I pursued it temporarily, and then, I never joined. So you asked me what lodge I'm affiliated with. I'm not affiliated with any lodge, and I'll likely stay that way because I believe the only way to really know, as one told me a long time ago, you can find all the secrets of Freemasonry online. But he also said that the vast majority of things that you read about Freemasonry are misinformation. The truth is out there, but it's surrounded by a lot of lies. And the reason I was curious about it was the only way to find out what it's all about would be to join and pursue it. But then I realized that if I did that, I would forever be known as a Freemason, and everything I said would be framed by that title. And so that was another reason why I decided not to actually go through with it. So just to answer that question, I am not a Freemasonry. I am not affiliated with any lodge. And that's the full story of that. The other comment that I wanted to address before we get into the subject matter of this particular video is an individual. I just thought it was funny, actually. He watched, I don't know if he was a first-time viewer. And then I realized yesterday that the title of the video, this video is for you. I meant that for my community, but anybody that was fed that video by the algorithm might have clicked on it without knowing who the hell I am. And so the individual, in spite of me being very clear that I was thanking people for participating, this individual, and it was just one guy, but he took it as a solicitation. And so his response was, I already pay for the internet. You're on the internet. I shouldn't have to pay for anything else. And there were so many things that came out of that comment to me in my mind. You pay for hydro, but you shouldn't have to pay for your TV or your light bulb. You pay for cable television or satellite TV, and you shouldn't have to pay for any of the shows that are on it. Those shows don't have production cost. My show doesn't have production cost. I don't have living expenses. It's all covered in your internet bill. I just thought that was really funny. And it highlights, because people on X in particular, oftentimes people without premium will come after you. If they don't like you, they'll come after you and they'll be like, oh, you're so stupid. You pay for a blue check mark. I like paying for things that give me value. I don't mind paying for X. It's a free speech platform, and it's pretty good at it. It has some issues still, but it is a fraction of what it used to be. And the influence of X existing in its current form has allowed us to have a greater degree of free speech on YouTube and Facebook and other platforms than we were able to have for the last decade. As censorship got tighter and tighter and tighter, there's been a great loosening. And a lot of that is just proximity to X and the competition that X represents. So the token amount of money I throw at X for the service, it's value. They're still stuck on this concept that you need that blue check mark, that you want that status symbol. It's not about the blue check mark. And the other thing that the blue check mark gives you is if you do ID verification, which I did. I willingly did, because here I am. This is my face. I'm doing this all openly anyway, so what the hell? Why wouldn't I give them my ID? There's been fake accounts out there with very similar names, copying my content and sending people private messages trying to scam them out of their money. Crypto scams, 10x scams. I have the ability, even though it sometimes takes time, to get those channels taken down. I can actually do something to protect my people and new people that are coming in the door. A blue check mark helps me do that. I don't understand this idea that the things that you value you shouldn't pay for. When did people become so disassociated with value creation and its relationship with money? It's why I don't use pirated software. I've had a number of people tell me how to do things for free. I've had people share with me PDFs for books, like Mark Carney's book. There's PDFs floating around of Mark Carney's book. You can read it for free. I don't do that. If I'm going to look at something, I pay the price for it. I don't pirate anything. It's first off, it's just I sleep better at night. But second of all, if you're using pirated stuff, if you're using pirated imagery, if you're using copyrighted material, a person can come back on you later and make a claim against you and remove that video or that project from the internet. Or if you actually made money on it, they can sue you. It's just better to do everything the right way. Use software that you pay for, X Premium. Anyway, I think it's funny that people would judge you for paying for things that you value. It's just incredible. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to address to start. The only other thing I want to do is review this mini documentary that CBC came out the other day. I popped into Clyde Do Something's Friday night live stream, and it just happened. I watched the chunk where he was reviewing this video, And I had some stuff to add to it. There was banter between me and him back and forth. I was just texting some stuff, and he was talking about it. I didn't even know this thing existed. It had only dropped on Friday, and there's more to it that I wanted to say. So we're going to watch it together. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to talk about it. I rarely do these kind of review videos, but this thing, it's incredible, even for CBC. The title is How a Canadian Content Farm Went Viral with Pro-Trump Politics. This is CBC News with 4.2 million subscribers. After 2 days, they have 13,000 views on this thing and 300 likes. We have no idea how many dislikes they have. They've got one from me. CBC is actually alone. It's the only website that anytime I watch any of their content, I will go out of my way to dislike it. And the reason is, this is a public broadcaster. They take $1.4 billion at a minimum of Canadian taxpayer money to propagandize you, and that's exactly what they do. Everything they're going to complain about in this video, I want you to keep in your mind. This is what they do to you. So they're really expensive. They're funded by government. They're funded by you. And they've got the comments turned off. You see that? The comments are always turned off on all their videos. They suck. They're the worst for that reason alone. But there's a lot of other reasons. Let's begin.
Getting humiliated on national television.
Do you think a trans woman is a woman?
No.
No.
You've probably seen videos like this in your feeds before.
It's interesting how the touchstone opener, we're 7 seconds in, and the trans woman is woman notion has been proposed. It's in the introduction. In the order of importance, when you construct a video product, and I don't hold to this either, but then again, I'm not a professional. I'm just me. When you construct a video product, a journalistic product, or you construct an essay or an article, the most important themes come first, and the less important themes come afterwards. Trans rights feature in the first 7 seconds.
They're confrontational and partisan.
If it hadn't have been for the Democrats and the Biden...
Confrontational and partisan. Doesn't that describe the CBC perfectly? Now, I know we're only 12 seconds in and we're already pausing, but they're complaining about content farms with pro-American politics. They call it, pro-Trump politics, as if that's bad, as if being pro-Trump is a net evil. Is CBC not completely in the tank for the Liberal Party and the bureaucracy? Again, what they complain about is what they do.
Administration.
This is one of the most popular Canada-based news accounts on YouTube. But it's not really news. It's more like what people call a content farm. We'll break down the formula that makes it so popular and try to find out who's behind this channel. Why would someone start a channel like this? Like, what's it for?
You know, it's for making money.
If you dig into this...
There's nothing wrong with making money. Some people have came away from my diatribes about how I'm going to run my operation of my channel and what I'm doing, my organizing philosophy. One person called it communism, or that I was defaming making money. I'm not. It's fine to make money. You can pick how you make money. CBC tries and fails to make money. Actually, they don't fail at all. They're making money off of you, the taxpayer. They're making money off the government. They do sell advertising, but their business model sucks. They can't maintain themselves. But keep that in mind. They're talking about a content farm being designed to make money as though that's a bad thing. Maybe it's an edge case. Maybe, like, I don't do the content farming thing. I don't engage in that. But does that make it an evil model?
Channel, you could see it has a clear formula. Here's the strategy. Take a clip of a confrontation between a conservative figure and a liberal. Focus on the moment where they humiliate, destroy, or humble that liberal. Add what seems to be an AI voiceover framing the confrontation.
This BLM activist is literally left speechless.
And keep it to a minute or so. This isn't original content. The videos are ripped from...
So this is one of those things that I've had to respect about the modern social media algorithm, which is putting words in your taglines in caps, because the algorithm, for whatever reason, picks that up and spreads it a little better. I don't like making thumbnails and making headlines that are completely misleading. So whenever I write a headline or whenever I make a thumbnail, I try to keep it on point and not too sensational. I capitalize normal words, basically. I'll capitalize Canada instead of humiliates. You'll see. Look at my headlines and how I do it. But it always relates to the underlying content. So you can engage this way when you make content, or you can do it a different way. But the fact of the matter is, this is how you play the algorithm. If you want to succeed, which CBC clearly doesn't, because with 4 million subscribers, they've only got 13,000 views. Those views cost you a lot of money as a taxpayer. They don't want to play the game, or at least they claim they don't want to play the game. Except every single day the CBC exists, they serve the purpose of state propaganda. So they're playing the game in their own way. They just suck at it. As Clyde noted, and I think it's worth quoting him on this, it's obvious. They're jealous. They're jealous of the success of the internet. It's kicking their asses.
From Senate hearings, university lectures, or TV shows. It's all part of a bigger trend.
The content farm can take many different forms.
Like, what is that? Paris Marx, host, tech won't save us. They're just jealous. Look at it.
But these channels in particular do seem to be using the political content in particular and what they feel is going to drive the engagement.
And that's exactly the kind of sweet spot this creator has unlocked.
All that insertion of Polyev. Several times now, you've seen the exact same clip of Polyev, the apple eating interview, the character of Polyev, which was probably his highest form, the ultimate Polyev, the one that he walked back during the election campaign, is the one the CBC is focusing on. Again, the Conservative Party is still marching to the Liberal tune. They're concerned with what these people think, and they shouldn't be, because that's not where the engagement is. The future is not CBC.
We've looked into this channel before. They used to post cheap fakes about Canadian politics, but it's almost all American now. The Canadian ones they still post aren't as popular. We also noticed a change.
That's the algorithm. So I've noticed this on my channel. If I do a video that's dedicated to Ukraine, or I do a video that's dedicated to Trump or America or whatever, the algorithm doesn't feed it, because my channel is known as a Canadian channel. So YouTube rewards me when I stay in my lane. What happens is, if you want to start, like I've often thought, if I start building greenhouses here and start doing the farming thing again, and I don't know how I would find time to do it, but I think about these things, filming that and putting it online. But I would rather put it directly on my channel that I have already and just create a separate playlist, an area for that to live. But the algorithm will not push it. So it'll be harder to make it grow. I don't know if I care, because I've talked about this yesterday, and I've talked about this many times, that I don't really care how fast I grow. I barely watch the numbers. I've got all kinds of audio listeners who listen to the podcast and don't watch it. I have no idea how many of you there are. I know it's on iTunes. I know it's on Spotify. I know it goes out there, and that's all I know. I don't know what happens to it once it gets there. So I'm very hands-off when it comes to that, but I wouldn't be rewarded for that. So, if you want to do it right, you have to create separate channels and keep those channels in their lanes.
In where this person is.
What the heck? What are you doing, YouTube?
Most of the content is uploaded to YouTube, and that makes sense if the person is in Canada. You can't make money off TikTok views here, but a YouTube channel that can get millions of views, that could generate serious cash.
Social Blade is stupid. It says I make $1,000 a month off of my YouTube videos. I'm not monetized. Their ranges are estimates and shouldn't be taken verbatim. And there's nothing stopping you from making money off TikTok. You can sell merch. You can still embed advertising in your videos. So CBC is trading in fake news. They're generating a report that is propagandistic. It is designed, it is selectively factual. It's building a narrative rather than finding out what is.
This channel has changed quite a bit. It used to focus on finance content. Clearly, they're searching for what will boost views and revenue. And for now,
Any smart business looks for what boosts revenue. I've never claimed to be a smart business. I'm just saying that a smart one, someone who is designing content to be successful on social media, will design that content. If money and maximizing money is their objective, they will design their content around that objective. CBC just doesn't know how to do that. They only know how to milk the taxpayer. Also, the music. It sounds like this is Magnum PI and she is exposing some kind of dark conspiracy. Like, the whole thing is designed to create an impression that there's something here for you to worry about, rather than just not tuning in. If you don't like the channel and you don't like its content, I don't watch this channel. I mean, it's been nuked, but I don't watch this kind of content. I am always trying to get rid of shorts out of my feed because I think shorts melt your brain. I don't engage with TikTok because I think it melts your brain. And you don't see me calling for their banning or for stopping or attacking people who create that kind of content. I just go my own way.
they've decided that's not Canadian news. The American politics focus is working. Real Talk Politics is one of the most viewed Canada-based political content channels.
America is a bigger market. If you want to succeed on social media, if that's all you're aiming to do is just be successful on social media, you will aim for the American market because it's huge. It's much more engaged. Podcasting and alternative media are much more entrenched there. They're much better developed. It's where you go.
And it's not just this account using this strategy. Our friends at Decrypteur found a bunch of other
Decrypteur.
channels doing very similar stuff. They might be left-leaning or right-leaning, but they all feature the same kind of style and tone.
Because that's what the algorithm rewards.
Some even have the same kind of channel description.
That is a legal disclaimer that they all copy from each other.
Now, we can't prove the same person runs all of them, but at the very least, they're all chasing the same success.
Can you even believe that they make that implication? That the same person is running all of these YouTube channels based on one document, which is a legal disclaimer, that they copy paste from each other. You ever notice how one influencer talks about one thing and then everybody picks up on it if it's popular? I'm actually doing it right now. I got this idea to do this video from Clyde Do Something stream where it was part of his stream. But I'm doing it because I felt this was really important to respond to on my own, in my own video. I don't chase stories. I wake up and I go through my day, and whenever throughout the day I read news and I consume things, and then I talk about the things I want to talk about. I deliberately avoid what other influencers are talking about so I can try and create something unique every single day. But I acknowledge that that's not how it works. It's like the elephant game. That's how it works. There's no one big mastermind behind it all, but that won't stop the CBC from implying that there is. This is not journalism.
The person or people who run Real Talk Politics keep their identity hidden. This is the only public email available. So we reach out. We want to know why they make these kind of videos. Meanwhile, we found dozens of similar accounts, some of them with millions of views, competing with traditional news. So what does that mean for how you get your information?
These types of accounts are presenting themselves as the way to get informed, and
they do a better job than you do. Even these rage farms, even these bait and clickers, they're oftentimes just doing a better job than you because you people support a party line. You people support the bureaucracy. You people are state media. These are independents who have to do it on their own. So even if you don't like the way that they do it, and there's a lot that I don't like, I think that I would much rather see people do things in their names more because I think it's more authentic. But I can pick apart anybody else. That's what CBC is doing here. They're picking apart success, and they're jealous of it rather than copying it or rather than building their own thing.
are embedding partisan perspectives typically
CBC is not partisan.
in that information delivery. So it's really causing this shift in what information people are receiving, and it's also going to force us to really reconsider what we think of as media literacy.
The videos are partisan, but that's not the whole story. Some of them are misleading, just like the cheap fakes from before. Take this one.
I recently asked my friend's little girl what she wanted to be when she grows up. She said she wanted to be the President of the United States.
That's AI. The story itself seems to have originated as a chain email joke in the mid-2000s, and there's no record of Reagan making that speech. Now, realistic-looking AI videos are supposed to be labeled on YouTube. We asked YouTube about the Reagan video and their approach to content farms. The next day, the channel was gone. Taken down because of YouTube's spam, deceptive practices, and scams policies. The creator...
They're so proud of themselves. Someone was doing something that was more successful than them. So they complained as journalists, and they got it destroyed. And look at how proud they are. I don't do AI content in my videos. I might use AI to help me edit images, but I would much rather go to a person and get an image done. You'll never see AI video content in my stuff unless maybe I'm reviewing it negatively. That's not me saying that anybody who uses AI should be banned by any stretch. Maybe that's a conversation we'll have to have as it becomes harder to discern reality from fiction. AI is getting better and better. I can still spot it, but some of the newer stuff that's coming out, it's getting harder and harder to spot. You really got to pay attention, and it's just going to get more difficult. So the only way to know that you're watching something real is if the person who's producing that content is committed 100% to not deceiving you with it. That's not the same as seeking a ban on anybody using it.
Told us they didn't know the Reagan video.
So in a sense, I actually agree with CBC here. I think AI poses an existential threat to accurate information.
Video was AI.
I hate videos like that.
And say they're definitely not a content farm because, quote, every video involves original scripting, research, editing, and visual sequencing. And they believe YouTube's takedown is wrong and, quote, harmful to creators who act in good faith to broaden political discourse. Do you have a content farm you think we should look into? Left-leaning, right-leaning?
Do you have a content farm we should look into? Who do you want us to take down next? CBC, always the champions of alternative voices. Of course, I'm being completely sarcastic. They hate competition, and that's really what it's all about. If they had it their way, only them and those who support their narratives, the official news sources, the old way of doing things, would be allowed in the public square. However, we're rising. We are ascendant, and it's inevitable that we win because the only people keeping them alive outside of the taxpayer are those who were raised on them to rely on them for accurate information. They long ago lost their role as purveyors of news. CBC and all the other mainstream networks in this country are purveyors of propaganda. I'm Frank Vaughn. Enjoy your Sunday. I'll see you in the next one. Did you know that I have a website? frankvaughn.ca, the ultimate repository for all of my work, and a backup location just in case the censors come for me again. And if you like the content, please consider using the donate link in one of the options available. There are no paywalls, there is no advertising, and there is no Patreon, and I intend to keep it that way. Thank you for your time and your consideration.